Hello, everyone. My name is Andrey Masalovich, or just Andrey when I don't wear tie, or Cyber Old Man for those who are on the internet, so who actually knows the image of Cyber Old Man. Okay, great. Hello, Cyber Grandsons, grandchildren. But those who don't know me, I can tell you a lot interesting. So when I said who was on the internet, but did you see a sea? Yes, of course I saw a sea, and I swam there and all that. I'm going to go there for a holiday. But actually, it will be enough to have 1 minute talk to realize what you understand under what sea is. So if it's just a little beach and the sea, so if you know a yachtman, so go to the sea on the yacht and look, wait for the storm, and then you will really meet the sea. So you'll see something for the first time. You can't make agreements with them. The sea, this element, works in its own laws, and you have to know these laws in order just to survive there. You have to be physically strong to do that. And I repeat the question, have you seen internet? So with internet, the same story. So most of the people, they have this wrong idea that internet, this is just a free of charge tram that will drive you somewhere. No, internet is a weapon, and those who treat it as a weapon, they can make quite good money. They manipulate quite strongly the majority of the audience, of viewers, and it didn't begin today. It began very long ago. So let's see what they're capable of and what they've done. So I'll start with one thing that is pretty famous, and this is a story of the 2011. They've been talking about it for a long time, and many people don't know what it was. And the story is about one retail chain in the United States. A guy came there, a father of a high school student, and this father was saying, so my daughter is in her high school student, and my daughter started getting advertising for pregnant women, so they started investigating the case, and a week later this father came to them again and said, don't apologize, because yes, my daughter is pregnant. And so here people say different things, and she told her father that she didn't know that she's pregnant, and she just learned that she's pregnant. And since the retail chain actually detected the first pattern of the pregnancy before the family knew that.
Those who follow our behavior, we give the full possibility to the gadgets which spy for us 24/7 through the devices in which we spend most of the time through smart irons, TVs, vacuum cleaners, etc. So we are like butterfly on a needle. Our profiles are well known, and our profiles became into the most expensive product in the world in IT. This is a space of context advertising to make money on providing it. Some other part segments this information. This is for the beer advertising, this is for diapers advertising, this is for that, this is for this. And honestly speaking, social networks, social platforms, they took a big power, even bigger power than special services. They know everything about us. And it was the beginning of this story. Honestly, one of the strongest marketing ideas for any company is profile change, when person change search preferences. And this is the moment when something can effectively be sold to him. Suddenly, this person started searching for trips, for housing, and he wasn't searching for it before. So we, by changing our own user preferences, we submit ourselves to this brain cleaning. It's the beginning of the story, but nobody knows this continuation. In 2011, one of the well-known researcher, profi in the internet, investigation, she decided to be unseen for every step. She didn't go to do hacker things and she didn't use cool tools, but each of her steps, she tried to do anonymous. She found how to obfuscate search in the internet, how to use different applications and gadgets, how to get connected, and how to pay for all of these. First month, she was really crazy, and she understood that many things she didn't even know as a profession. She thought she was hiding, but no, she didn't. Platforms continued to recognize her. Then she started doing it properly, and by the end of the month, too, her father received a notification. She found a way how to anonymously pay through bonuses, to accumulating bonuses from different people, accumulating bonuses. They gave it to her father, and he was paying for her wherever she was. And father received a notification that his activity looks suspicious. First of all, his bonus program was cut away, and he will not be let into this. And if he will continue, they will give him to FBI because he behaves very unclearly. So even an attempt of staying unseen right now brings us outside of regular people. Then, fresher story. It's about 7 years old. A guy, student, preparing materials about how we are being spied by spies. He set himself up in Amsterdam. He set up himself in such a way so that his smartphone would be stolen. And preliminarily, he installed some spyware. Well, his smartphone was stolen, of course. They replaced the SIM card. However, it didn't help. The mobile phone continued working with another SIM card, with another owner, and the guy was watching this guy. In a week, he knew everything about this guy. Who is this person, who he lives with, who he meets, what he believes, how he earns money, what his plans for life, what are his episodes of fraudulence, and all his life was outside for the person who was observing from outside. And he was a regular student. You can find this video. It's still in the internet. It's a film, 15 long. The person who stole my phone, the name of this film. As a result, he was crazy. He came to his address. He called him. He opened the door. He told him. He looked at his face. He figured out that, yes, he is. Well, I see him. I know him and he doesn't know me. So honestly speaking, we carry with ourselves such spies in our pockets, the means of total personal spying 24/7, from which it's basically impossible for us to hide. Okay, there's another well-known example, because I have several examples, real examples, so that I wouldn't disclose real people. So I've asked to generate a beautiful girl face from Moscow of 92, and that's what computer has provided for me. Maybe some other people have other perception, but this is neural network has created this image for me. So some girl called Yekaterina gets registered in social network. She heard something that it's not safe in the internet. She has enough of good brain not to show her last name. She doesn't show her last name. She hidden her date of birth. But if you look carefully at her profile, personally, I know several people who will be able to very quickly determine her last name and even the year of birth. These people are called information hunters or open source intelligence people, open source intelligence specialists. They earn a lot of money, and demand for this grows very fast. And since the beginning of the war, my business has grown by 4 times, and in 20 months of the war, even though I'm under personal sanctions of Americans, in 20 months, 20 business trips to different countries. So the demand for Russian IT in the security area, especially hunting for information control of the internet, is over sky. Overhead, and I wish you that the same thing. Okay, let's look in more details. What is OSINT? Investigation Well, intelligence service exists since the beginning. First, intelligence came to the earth, and then people came to earth. You remember when Noah's Ark hit the earth, he didn't let people out. In the beginning, he sent by a drone. The Raven, he made an investigation. He wasn't satisfied with the results. Then he sent 3 other by drones. The dove, he had additional intelligence. After this, he had a target event. He did objective control that it's possible to live, and then how humanity was created. So it's the oldest profession on the earth, intelligence. Then the oldest profession came to be. The oldest profession is industrial espionage. In order to create any other profession, you have to painlessly come out of cave. So during all years, all centuries, people were stealing secrets of military constructions, gold production, secrets of technologies, secrets of silent drones, secrets of any other new DPIs, etc., etc., etc. In other words, industrial espionage is in your company, in any company. It is related to anybody. It's small, it's illegal. Usually it's being outsourced. Nobody is boasting about it. Nobody's thought about it. I know a very good book about it, and even though with negative connotation, it is called industrial espionage. And in the middle of the last century, even seldom cases when there's a precise date of birth of a new discipline. On average, in the middle of the last century, 1941, there was a discipline which was called OSINT. There is a department in the United States, Open Broadcasting Department. People were coming to work, were watching TV programs, listening to radio, reading newspapers, and came to conclusions. And these conclusions went much further than open source data. So they've been filling your corporate commercial secrets. They've been pulling up to secrets, state secrets, and even completely secret knowledge. And the most secret, the most valuable asset are your plans and intentions. And this is what is being hunted for. So, since 1941, there's a discipline called open source intelligence. This discipline has been surrounded by a strict tool set, but business was keeping far away from it. Why? Because secret services living outside of the legal field, outside of useful ethics. Because I came from Secret Service, I was the major of KGB, then colonel of OSINT, and when you try to solve an objective, if you have been taught to be unseen, you don't care laws of which country you're violating. You have to fulfill the objective. OSINT was living by itself, business by itself. In 2010, situation started changing. They created gadgets who are hunting us, and big data databases were created where the data started being accumulated in one place. Then owners of these databases have learned to be friends with each other, exchange results, and enrich data. And the data started becoming into a full-scale dossier against each one of us. So we are half a step from the place where the golden record will be created, dossier, which has everything about each one of us. Or maybe this dossier already exists. And starting from the year 2010, the word OSINT became common, and right now you can find on the Avida, will teach you OSINT for 500 rubles, but I would like to add to this. Will you continue? Will you extend? Well, new OSINT specialists, there's a lot of them. However, due to the fact that the discipline by itself is a very old one, it was created more than 50 years. In parallel with this, there was a softer variety of it. It was competitive intelligence, the same for the business, but without direct violation of the law and ethical norms. Because the OSINT toolset was created for quite a while, I would like to violate the regular rule. Usually I make motivational speeches. I don't have an objective of telling you something. I have an objective of making you wake up and say, well, I wasn't thinking about it. Let's try to go there. It's interesting and look at it in more detail. Right now, we'll violate this tradition. I would like to tell you something. I will show you dozens of examples how with fingers you can get down to data which in your neighbor's house or in your lab neighbor in your company is not accessible to anybody. So from one button you can get to confidential information, personal data, commercial secret, and even to secret information without doing anything clever. And I've selected a couple of dozens of steps which existed 20 years, and they will exist and they will continue working. At the same time, the OSINT activity by itself is very similar to fishing. It's meaningless to wait that, well, you're a good fisher, please, can you catch spike fish? Well, this is fishing. It's always, will there be a bite, won't be a bite in weeks, but a good person with having a spectrum of topics, he will discover this information step by step, drop by drop. But this is monitoring. This is not breaking through immediately. You have to understand that there are no miracles and miracle buttons you press and you see. It will not happen right here. Well, a simple example how you can get through the open information to secret information. This story was in the year 2013, 11 years. Well, it was remembered in Ukraine. If they remembered about it, well, I try to remember anything. In the year 2013, I was teaching in Donetsk. It was nice coming back to Moscow. A guy from the security service says, okay, it's wonderful, everything is so interesting. I go here, I found these leakages, I found these leakages, I found this problem, I went to competitors, oh my God. And then I've tried to search on public structures of Ukraine, and I wasn't able to find anything because perhaps public structures of Ukraine, state secrets are well protected. Well, I didn't compare that. We've been writing on a basis of open platform, live journal, and of course, at this moment of time, half a world could read us, and they did read us. So I'm writing back to him. I said, I would like to disappoint you. In Ukraine, in order to get to state secrets, you don't have to break anything. In Ukraine, state secret can be purchased. He says, how is it possible? I say, okay, look here. In every country, there are integrators of industrial consultant and garant in Russia. In Ukraine, it's Liga, Liga Law, and oligarch.net. Well, I can go to this resource, liga.law. I found search for documents of security service of Ukraine. And here's a list of documents. Okay. I say, okay, wonderful. Can you please show me documents for the last 6 months, the fresh ones? Well, I see the fresh documents. Only orders and only with secrecy. They have DSK for service usage. It's higher than our DSP for service use. It's nothing, but in Ukraine, DSK, it's a regulatory framework, some responsibilities, some regulations. A little bit more serious, but this is a business secret. So business secret of the local FSB. It gives me the list of documents. And I say, okay, let's see what happens. I press the button, open document. And here I see on the right button, I see the say, the access to full document is paid for registered citizen of Ukraine 6 hryvnias, for foreign for registered citizen to Ukraine, for foreign secret agent 6 hryvnias. With anonymous access and anonymous payment will be 6 hryvnias. Well, at that moment of time, 6 hryvnias, it was about $1. So all my money, I had about 200 hryvnias, and they disappeared. I could buy 2 cans of beer. Right now, no. But right now, 6 hryvnias, I did not feel sorry, so I sent $1 from my account, and I received this SBU document. I say, okay, for the purity of experiment, let's find the second document. $2, second document. For the purity of experiment, another department, Department of Nuclear Energy. $3, third document. without comparing that we've been writing in an open space, what has started out there. About 100 opposition Yanukovych regime sells state secrets, his grievance they don't share with us, where the country goes. And the next days in the central newspaper, some lady have written some Masalovich from the neighboring country allows himself to say awful thing about our country. He says that he went to Liga.net, pressed the button, search, and immediately found documents of SVU. This is a lie. On Liga.net, the search button has been disconnected. Well, they've been kicked so much so that it's cheaper to remove this search from the page instead of bringing it back to the order. So I don't want you to feel sorry. I want you to feel happy. I will show you some steps that you can use start from the beginning. Well, the step number one, it's using so-called Google Hack and Google Dork. Google hacking is the attempt which allows Google to use as a helper for the hacker. Google is not a search system. Google is the internet spies with the pretension of global control. If the robot of Google goes somewhere, it brings you data when you ask it. And then it does the analysis of the address space of the portal. It tells you everything that it's seen around. And from this, it chooses something that can be used for the next attacks. For example, this was discovered about 20 years ago when the Google request language was created. So I recommend you, there are approximately 2,000 search engines, 20 of them are good ones, and 2 leading for Russians, Google and Yandex. So the first step, please study search request language Google and Yandex. And then here's a system with limitless database, absolutely inhuman logic. And when you just type the request, very often in a line you just type the name of the object of your interest. At this moment of time, it doesn't understand you. It doesn't understand what you want. You type like Zhirinovsky. It says, okay, I have 2 million of documents about Zhirinovsky. And your size of the brain is 31 links, and the size of the brain is the zone of vision of the space. It's first 30 links. So the engine, by some unbelievable way, has to understand which 30 documents out of these 2 millions you are interested in, but you're not helping it. That's why starting work, start with studying the commands of the search engine. So the best command is a command file type period column SLS. Search by some specific format. File type SLS. For example, in the format XLS, Excel provokes people for generalization of information, for leakage. Well, Excel, in the hand of the managers, what happens? The list of invitees, name, position, email, etc. Excel came into the hand of the developer. Plan of work, list of mistakes in the security guide, incident report. And I will remind you, incident, something which led to breakage of the system. So half people in the network receive money for hunting for information, and half people in the network get money for destroying something. And for these people, for this low or middle level hacking, this incident reports is the gift of the destiny. So this report came into the hands of the accountants. Well, it's going to be accounting documents, and it's awful to think what happens when the Excel gets into the hands of admin or your home hands. So if it's going to be interesting for you, I can offer to make such an experiment. Please search on the site, type in the Google search command, site, column, file type XLS, column XLS, to search for the documents with passwords, spreadsheets with passwords on the WordPress site. Why is it? Because WordPress, I'm not mistaken, has about 18 million documents, People are lazy, and very quickly they find out that WordPress is not only a management system, but also the storage, and corporate documentation is being stored anywhere. And the most interesting thing, one of the most interesting discoveries on the first page is the logins and passwords of leading mass media of the United States that work for the Democratic Party. You can look at it. It was done by a young boy from Romania, which referred to all, and he put it in the Excel page in the WordPress. So you can type one command, and in front of your eyes you will see spreadsheets with passwords. And I would like to tell you, usage of foreign passwords is illegal. Everything that I'm telling you is a motive purely for educational purposes, to understand how it shouldn't be done, because we have agreed that we play on the light forces. The second, more professional approach, search, and if you have a big portal in front of your eyes, search for files with the ASPX file. The thing is that this extension, which is used by programmers for modules which organize database requests. For example, if they've done everything properly, this is a very good help for the hacker to form and to prepare plan of attack like SQL injection, or as it is simply said, injection. And very often in ASPX files, they have direct errors. And when you press certain buttons, you can call the blue screen of death, or you can make system to give up certain names of fields or spreadsheets, and some dead mask is given to you with login and password, because you have found that place where you can go to the database. In the same way, ASPX format gives you the access to internal documents, and if you paid attention, the previous example, looking at the picture, was related to organization with critical informational infrastructure, and it's like that. So I didn't show you which one, because for me, I don't need examples. But these errors happen even with the biggest companies, and the law about critical information infrastructure entered into force since 2018, and by now they already had to fix it. Well, this example is related to public structures. Very often, internal documents of public companies are well seen, and some time ago it was related to even the top-level sites. And I'm not going to speak from the stage the portal of which person or which servicing company. They also had leaks of internal documentation, and you can find them. Then eternal error, which we are thankful to Bittrex. You know, in the world there's approximately 50 CMS content management programs, which are 10 of them are known of them. In Russia there are 10 of them, 4 or 5 are very popular: Bittrex, Wordplex, Jobline, and Drupal. One of the Bittrex is the most popular one. It is used by public structures. It's paid one, but it has a problem. It's not a vulnerability, it's a problem. By default, they switch on the redirects. And in order to disconnect them in 2 places, you should put a check mark manually, and 100% of admins don't do it manually. What will happen if the redirect is turned on? Criminal can easily write a script request, which in the line will look as entrance to your site, as an example, to public service site. So the person will see that he will press it and will enter public site, but then there will be command redirect, which will send you good if it's a porno site, bad if it's some phishing page, and you will be attacked. You will have to relog in, and you will define login and password. So this is also reality of life. Next one. Several times I've been using words CMS. Truthfully, if you want silently to enter, I gave you the first step. Please practice on request languages, Google and Yandex. Step number 2, Google how CMS has been broken. The thing is that content management system, CMS, they are very strangely mutated in the process of evolution. In the beginning, these were very small, painless programs which were written for the girl. Well, here's the header, header, here's a footer, to change quickly something on the site. Here's the header, here's the picture, here's the text, and no perception about security, about systematic approach, or any other managing the rights or anything else. Then CMS started growing, they started integrating into different and various groups of functions. Right now they became into monsters, they control events, files, and lists of your clients, and lists of your employees, and your site, and database, and subsites at the same time by themselves, because historically they've been developing as these as integrated and component security. Well, they are not worth of anything. CMS attacks are really can be done easily. Well, on my screen, I have an example which you can repeat yourself. But once again, I would like to remind you, Russian word "you can," it has no translation to other languages of the world because it doesn't have the translation word "can." There are three groups of can technically possible, can permitted, and can should you go there right now. I'm always using if I can, I go. I use it, I can. It means technically possible. It doesn't mean that it's permitted, and it doesn't mean that it's legal, and it doesn't mean that I'm calling you to stick your nose into it. But nevertheless, according to yesterday's condition, all the examples have been operational. And I have the assumption that some bad guys have been checking them, and they've worked. Next one, separate cross-section of internet, very expensive Wayback Machine, or the Internet Archives. From the very beginning, such romantic systems, there were a lot of them which tried to collect the whole Internet on their site. And if you think the search system, it's also the strange romance. Every search system is a attempt of collecting the whole Internet on their site, not just closely, but even technically, you cannot imagine that all the search systems of the world, headed by Google, right now see no more than 1%, of total amount of files dedicated for people. Most of the internet is not dedicated for human beings. It's Internet of Things. And the biggest storage of data in the internet, not many people know, it's not prohibited Facebook and not Google database, but it's a storage of big Hadron Collider in Switzerland where they contain data about boson impression. Not a single boson went there to this database. But nevertheless, notwithstanding the fact that idea of collecting copy of the whole internet is a romantic idea, nevertheless, several successful attempts did happen, and the most well-known is called web.archive.org, Web Archive. Or its main name is Wayback Machine. Here's an example. I've been searching for a project Dren.mil. It's a project of re-equipping multi-processor supercomputer computers of Pentagon. It's not a last project, interesting documentation in the main storage facilities. It never was in the open source. It was in closed archives, but documents, I could Google them, and Google goes where it shouldn't go. They were cleaned from it. There were only links and headers. But following those links and headers, I have activated this Wayback Machine. I've looked inside of it, and it allows you to search by dates. You give the link, it opens the map, and I've seen it this date, I've seen it that date, in this year I've seen it that date, and I started rolling back, and as a result, I found that moment, short moment, when Google went where it shouldn't go, organized leak of sensitive documents. Then this leak was closed, Google removed it, but on the Wayback Machine, it was there. And this is also part of the truth. Also, the search, the next example that works by limiting tags. If those people who create and storage and transfer of sensitive documents and data, if they would be security people, and if they would be taught systematically, and if periodically they would be punished for these leakages, they would approach it seriously. But in real practice, secret documents can be under somebody's table and person without understanding. why this information should be hidden, not even from somebody else's eyes, but from his own eyes. And every company sees a typical chaos. And this secrecy, it's a development of markers, demasking attempt. So by the availability of this security sign, you can search for a document. For example, you can start in Russia, public structure sites, they are in the domain zone of the second level, gov.ru. They are describing secret documents for state use. You can try what will happen if you will search just through Google leakages of these documents. Well, I'm telling you in order to figure out that there will be zero, but recent example says it's not zero. It was 6,000 on the counter. 6,000 documents with the grief for public structures, they can be seen only from one command. So honestly speaking, most of this stadium can go home, go drink beer and eat something because no hackers and break-in systems are not needed. Our chaos, half of the documents can still be found by empty hands. Then, just for a good mood, I would like to remind you the old tool which is called robots.txt. Long time ago, it's a file which describes limitations for search robots. Go here, don't go there. It was created long time ago. It's old, don't use it anymore in your materials. But if you are looking and studying somebody else's studies, please check if they have robots.txt. Someday they paid attention that robot without any evil will can go anywhere because it's difficult to tag site, go here and don't go there. So they've invented this agreement file. Robots.txt has allow and disallow, where you allowed and disallowed, and user agent, which bots I believe and which bots I don't believe. For example, user agent start, disallow, start. So all robots, I don't believe anybody, all robots are not permitted. I can disappoint you, robots.txt is not a requirement of the law, it's the ethical norm, no more than that. So robots, they will go and Google robot will perceive it as a starting catalog and will go there immediately. But nevertheless, look on the sites, it's a happy example. In Tallinn, they have a NATO center with a stupid name, Cyber Advantage of NATO Center. Even though it's a basic training center and their security is on the basic level, and robots.txt file have described that all user agents are not permitted in job ads, people, and training. So from here I can come to the conclusion that they have folders with vacancies for people, folder with resumes of employees, and folder with the list of information and current trainings, the most interesting that can be found out there. And they show me where it is located. And the second one, if you will pay attention, who NATO is being afraid of, 3 bots which cannot be permitted anywhere. It's Yandex Images bot, Yandex bot, and just Yandex bot. Next, in many cases, we don't get to information just because we don't know that it's an open information, it's not been hidden from us, because not many people know that in the United States of America, there is an open services which show cross-section of border of the US by any citizen non-American. So on the next slide, this is the address. So when you go to this page, you fill first name, last name, Latin, the range of dates, and passport number, and it will show you when the person with this passport entered US and when he left US. It's true, it works, not many people know about it, and when you show them, you know, people get surprised. And databases which are available, there are hundreds of them. I'm speaking about global databases which just collect all the information about us, and at the same time they're being leaked. There are more than 300 bases like that. And just knowing about the set of these open databases, without applying any efforts, you can find secret information. And maybe you remember a couple of years ago I've been showing how to get to information with completely secret information to open database. to open database in logistics of Shanghai and Singapore ports. Several years ago, during the April 1st, somebody wanted to make a joke and published this list of laws of information security. Of course, it was a joke. These were crazy laws, and one of these laws was called the law of Andrey Masalovich. If a person is participating in managing break a person, he is vulnerable. Signing irrespectively to not me inventing this law, but thanks for making this law, I agree with this. And I was thinking about this, what motivational I could use to finish my presentation. So I'm finishing this by a gift. I have a site, am.news. On this site, there is a bookshelf, and on this bookshelf, there's a book, Google Hacking. It has 500 pages. If you will read them, well, it means that you went through half of paid courses on competitive investigation, because half of these skills are collected in this book. And in the end, for those of you who don't want to read books, I was thinking how in one slide, in one picture, I can collect my idea in order for you to make understandable what is should be found. So, Internet is a digital forest. Don't go to digital forest. Digital bear will eat you. Digital mushroom will kill you. Don't put unknown links to your mouth. Protect yourself, and good hunt for all of you.